Oprah just released a new weight loss special after 13 years of being off of broadcast television. In her special, she got real and raw and pulled back the curtain on her weight loss journey and how she was able to lose all of this weight. There'd been speculations about her maybe being on a weight loss drug. She finally came out and she admitted to using Wegovy or semaglutide to lose the weight. Love her or not, when Oprah talks, people listen. By sharing her experience taking a drug that targets the biological force driving obesity, she's bringing overdue attention to the complex science behind weight management. Hi, my name is Dr. Kevin Matore, and in this video we'll be unpacking Oprah's weight loss special. We'll be talking about the good, the bad, and all of the controversy surrounding her use of semaglutide. But before we begin, this video is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Please contact your doctor or healthcare practitioner before starting any new exercise regimen or any new medication. With that said, let's jump into it. So my first takeaway from the weight loss special is that I loved how Oprah just jumped straight into it and started talking about her own personal weight loss struggle. I have mixed feelings about this special, but what I do like is that Oprah jumped right in and started talking about the shame and the judgment that she felt going through this pretty public weight loss struggle. She talked about her yo-yo dieting, her crazy diets, talked about being on a liquid diet for a long time, losing over 60 pounds, and the next day starting to eat again and the weight coming right back. At one point she mentioned feeling the shame of fighting a losing battle with weight. Talking about her weight loss struggles in the public eye was really eye-opening. And you know, later on in this special, she mentions blaming herself for not being able to lose the weight. In her head, she felt as if thin people just had more willpower than she did. So every time she lost weight and she wasn't able to keep it off, she had a lot of negative self-talk. And you know, I can actually relate to that. As an overweight physician, that message hit pretty close to home. My weight has also gone up and down, and I've tried a lot of different diets, a lot of different exercise programs, and even as somebody who has all of this knowledge and who should know better, I still struggle with this aspect of my life. So I thought that it was very, very, very good for her to jump right in and talk about the feelings that people who struggle with their weight deal with. So after Oprah was done talking about her own personal struggles and her own personal battles with the emotions of struggling with her weight, she brought on a patient that was on a drug called Mounjaro, which acts a little bit different than semaglutide or Ozempic Wegovy. And that was the first time in this special that they brought up the concept of willpower. So according to this patient and Oprah, they always had this underlying sense or feeling that thin people just had more willpower. They had the same conversations in their head about, oh my God, where am I going to get my next meal? And all of these food-driven thoughts that Oprah and this patient had constantly, day in and day out. And they just felt that thin people were able to overcome this by willpower. And after taking the medication, it was the first time really that they didn't think about food, which I found completely fascinating. Now, the patient that was on the Mounjaro actually was a mother who had struggled with her weight her entire life, and she recalled a story as a kid where one of her classmates called her the fat one, and since then she's just struggled with her weight. And then the pandemic happened and she self-soothed with food, and she reached a point where she was like 300 pounds, and it got so bad that she was so ashamed that she didn't want to go out. And it was really nice seeing somebody be so open and share their own struggles and their own thoughts, because it turns out that there's a lot of people that think like that. And when she started taking the Mounjaro, the weight was finally able to come off. And you know, I think that was a positive aspect of this weight loss special, just really focusing in on how it feels to be obese in this society. And it's at this point that they start talking about obesity being a disease. So back in the 80s, people used to look at alcoholism kind of the same way as obesity, where it was like, why don't you just not pick up a drink? You know, why don't you just choose to not drink? And it took some time before people realized that alcoholism was a disease. Obesity is the same way. When people are like, you know, why don't you just eat better and exercise more? That's super intellectually lazy, because it's not how things work. Obesity is super complex. There's lots of different things that lead to a person becoming obese, and it's not just simply cured with diet and exercise. It's also a lifelong journey with lots of ups and downs. So when people judge people based off of their weight, I just think it's wrong, and you know, it's just means that people don't know what they're talking about. Which brings up my third takeaway. It's at this point that Oprah brings out a couple of physicians that are board certified in obesity medicine to talk about these weight loss drugs. Unfortunately, even though the information was pretty okay, that's when I started feeling as if this was more almost like an ad for these weight loss drugs. I understand that Oprah is feeling super pumped about losing a bunch of weight, but I didn't feel as if this special was super balanced. And this is kind of like when I started noticing it. So they start talking about these weight loss drugs, how they work, side effects, and the fact that they're a small piece of a bigger picture. Oprah even talks about her daily habits, which include hiking a bunch of miles, running every so often, and even changing her diet completely. And to the credit, the physicians are also on board and make sure to stress that these weight loss medications don't work in a silo, that it's really a small piece of the puzzle when it comes to weight loss. But both of these physicians were consultants to the pharmaceutical companies that make these weight loss drugs. So unfortunately, as much as they may not feel that they are biased, I feel like it kind of biased them in some ways. I didn't feel like the information was necessarily as balanced as I wanted it to be. So these weight loss drugs are good, but they have side effects and don't always work for everyone that's on them. And I felt like that wasn't really mentioned in this weight loss special. Having said that, I like that the doctors talked about your natural weight set point. So the weight set point is basically whatever weight your body likes to be at. So let's say you're currently a little overweight, you're 250 pounds, and that is where your body likes to be at. Whenever you start cutting down weight, your body will start fighting back and literally try to put on weight so it can get back to that 250. So for obese people, because of their biology, their set point might be at a range that is not healthy and at an overweight point. So whenever someone tries to lose weight, despite dieting, exercising, making the right decisions, their body will literally fight against them losing weight, which is why it's so hard for overweight people sometimes to lose weight. And which brings me back to the point that a lot of people don't understand or don't look at obesity as a disease, and they'll blame somebody who is trying everything that they can to lose weight, but they're literally fighting against their body, their thoughts, and their emotions. So I really liked that part of the special. So at that point, the weight loss special kind of pivoted and introduced the story of this teenage girl who since birth had troubles regulating or controlling how much she ate, to the point that when she was 11 or 12, she was nearly 300 pounds. She was pre-diabetic, her cholesterol levels were through the roof, and her pediatricians were super worried about her. So her parents made the difficult decision to let her go through bariatric surgery. Unfortunately, after the surgery, her numbers didn't really resolve and the weight loss didn't really happen. So her pediatrician suggested that she be put on semaglutide. And you know, the parents kind of went back and forth, but they ended up making the decision to put this teenager on the drug, and she lost tons of weight. She's happier. She even joined her cheerleading team. And I think this was the point where the special started introducing the fact that these drugs aren't really fully approved by insurance companies for the indication of just weight loss. So this family had a lot of difficulty obtaining newer versions of the medication. So this segment wasn't too bad. You know, when I was going into medical school, I thought I would be a pediatrician. So I understand the value of literally changing the trajectory of teenagers' lives when you're able to help them lose weight. Things like diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, strokes, all become almost guaranteed when you're overweight for that long. So including the fact that kids are now a lot more obese than they were back in the day and are now suffering from quote unquote adult diseases such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes at younger and younger ages, I thought was really cool and put a spotlight on the problem of obesity in this nation. So it's at this point that the weight loss special transitioned to the Weight Watchers CEO for some reason. I guess Oprah did this to show that she didn't have a conflict of interest because she recently sold all of her shares and donated them. But this was, I felt a little weird. She also had a small segment that was pre-recorded with another doctor talking about the side effects of these weight loss drugs. Now, that part I actually did like because they cover topics such as the prevalence of side effects. Like if a side effect is super rare but more people are taking the weight loss drug, then you're going to see that become more and more common, which I thought was good. And by the way, if you're really interested in a deep dive on how these medications work, I linked a video up here that you can check out that goes over all of these medications and includes a weight loss drug that literally no one is talking about that I feel like would be a game changer. It's at this point that I kind of started feeling that, you know, obviously I get that Oprah's super excited to have found something that has finally helped her lose the weight, and not only lose the weight, more importantly, keep it off and live a healthy, happy life. I mean, she just turned 70 and she looked amazing. Didn't look a day over 45. I don't know if I could say that. But anyway, she looked good, and more importantly, she felt good, and she radiated that positive energy. However, this special kind of felt like an hour-long semaglutide, tirzepatide commercial. They also glossed over some of these rare side effects, such as the pancreatitis and the risk for medullary thyroid cancer associated with these medications. Now, to be fair, the medullary thyroid cancer is something that was only shown in the animal studies. However, you can't really gloss over that like it's not a thing. Also, there have been people that have died due to pancreatitis secondary to taking these weight loss medications. So once again, I felt like the special wasn't as balanced as I would have liked it to be. And like I said, Oprah is obviously biased at this point because this is literally the key that unlocked her weight loss. And there's definitely happiness there, and that's something that she wants to share. And she tried to tackle the things that really matter too, like the way people look at obesity, tackling the stigma associated with obesity, the negative self-talk associated with obesity. But I really feel as if she should have been more balanced and focused on the drawbacks more intensely than she actually did. And they also didn't mention the associated loss of lean mass that accompanies using these medications. So what that means is whenever you lose a ton of weight on these medications, you're also losing muscle mass. So it's very important that when people are on these medications to do things like resistance exercise, so lifting weights, etc., to try and preserve as much muscle mass as possible. This is something that I don't hear many people talking about. So loss of lean muscle in somebody who doesn't already have a lot of muscles can definitely increase the risk profile of these medications, which is why it's very important to have a conversation with your healthcare professionals and really discuss the risks versus benefits, which is individual to each person. And speaking about individual to each person, it's very important to realize that these weight loss medications can help a lot, but they're, like I said, just a small portion of a bigger picture. So you need to include a healthy diet, exercise. But the thing is, you know, when people take these medications and they lose the weight, you know, they still have those conversations inside of their head. And I'm actually on my weight loss journey, and I've lost close to 20 pounds. And I've done that with diet and exercise. But I think the biggest switch, and why I feel like this is the final time for me, is because I've really changed my thought process approaching weight loss. I have this all or nothing approach at times where I'm either all in or I'm all out. But this time I'm being a lot gentler with myself. I am talking to myself in a way that I would talk to my friend, and it's been very helpful. Now, I've actually developed a 4-step checklist that I use, and that has been very effective for me, that I've linked down in the description below, that kind of goes over the mental game of weight loss and the mental game of making the right decisions with the food that you eat. And it's truly unlocked my weight loss, and hopefully I'm able to continue this. But even if I'm not able to continue or it stalls, I understand that this is a journey. I'm in it for the long haul, and just looking at it that way has been very helpful for me. Y'all, I've been recording for the last 20 minutes with a camera whose battery was completely dead. So I just lost so much footage for my first ever YouTube video, and this is classic. But anyways, this weight loss special had some positives. Obviously, they talked about obesity being biological process, and they underscored that, and they really opened the lid on that, and I thought that was amazing. I love that they talked about how people with obesity talk to themselves, and how they are, some people are constantly thinking about food. And I love also how they talked about the natural set point that your body settles into when you have obesity, and how it completely fights any positive decision that you make in terms of, you know, eating right, exercising and stuff like that. Just really clearing up the picture about obesity and educating people, and I love that. And I understand that Oprah has had her life changed by these medications, but I really did not like how they didn't really dig down into the side effects, and how some people really have a tough time with these medications, and how some people have had really serious medical conditions arise from taking these medications. I also didn't like that they didn't cover the fact that these medications can also make you lose muscle. But overall, I think it's a good place to start, and I would recommend you checking out the weight loss special yourself, just to, because I think overall it was okay. But if you're interested about learning about these medications a little bit more, make sure to click on this video up here, where I do a deep dive on all of these obesity drugs, and I also mention one that is going to be a game changer with people losing tons of weight. If that's something that's interesting to you, make sure to click on the video.